let go. Let go of the pride, let go of your ego, and take the information in.
Welcome to Cards and Constellations with Bonnie Morris and Don Rumor Rivera from Sonoran Mystic Tarot. Here, we blend astrology and tarot to guide you through the twists and turns for the week ahead. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share. Let's dive into your cosmic journey together.
Hello. The moon this week on Friday, the 1st, August 1st, we have the first quarter in Scorpio at 27 degrees, 33 minutes. Now remember, during the first quarter, we do all the work on whatever project you've chosen. And to find that out, we step back and find the new moon in Scorpio. That occurred on November 1st, 2024 at 9 degrees, 34 minutes of Scorpio. So check, where do you write your intentions down? I hope you did. That will tell you what you're working on right now. Then we have to move forward and find the full moon in Scorpio. That occurs on May 1st of 2026 at 11 degrees, 20 minutes of Scorpio. That's when everything becomes lit up. You can see the whole project, and if it's not exactly what you want, you tweak it. And then we pivot and start to turn away. We have to look for the last quarter moon now in Scorpio. It happens on January 29th, 2027 at 9 degrees, 7 minutes of Scorpio. And that's where we celebrate our success and turn away, allow the project to move on by itself, and we wait for another new moon. Now, in the void, of course, we're going to take a look on July 28th. The void, of course, begins at 5:56 p.m., and that is Mountain Standard Time, Phoenix time, at 27 degrees, 32 minutes of Virgo. It ends that day at 10:43 p.m., and that's when it enters into the sign of Libra. Then again on the 29th, at 8:58 p.m., the void begins at 11 degrees of Libra. It ends on the 31st. Now, remember that. That's a long void, okay? It ends on the 31st at 10:25 a.m., and that's when it enters into Scorpio. I'll pause here and remind you, during a void, you never start a project because it likely will have to be redone. So unless you like practice, be careful. Finish up projects, fold the laundry, do the dishes, whatever it is that you can do, but don't start anything new. Okay, so we still have 5 planets in retrograde. But first, let's go to August 2nd. We have the last void at 6:06 p.m., 27 degrees, 33 minutes of Scorpio. It ends that night at 11 p.m. when it enters into Sagittarius. Again, we still have 5 planets in retrograde. Pluto's in Aquarius. Both Saturn and Neptune are still dancing in Aries and Pisces. And Mercury in Leo. Now, we also just started with Chiron in retrograde in the sign of Aries.
So, Miss Bonnie, if I hear right, it sounds like this week, no matter what sign you have, it's going to be a complicated week. Something's happening. Can you help me understand that?
Sure. This week, we start out the week, I think it starts on Tuesday. We see a kite formation. Now, a kite formation is a specific pattern formed by a grand trine, a big triangle, 3 planets. It's harmonious, it's good energy, but there's also an opposition. The point of the head of the kite to the tail, that's a tug of war. That's where things get sticky. The opposition is also linked to the other 2 planets in the grand trine. So it creates this kite shape when you look at the chart. At the end of the week, it gets even more complicated. We have 2 kites, and they're pulling us in 2 different directions.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
There's
and
also...
then you have these long voids. These long voids that
yeah.
growing longer and longer. And you, like you said before, about 2 weeks ago, we had one of the longest voids you'd seen. And this week, once
It's
again,
even
we have an exceptionally long void.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, there are also a lot of squares. Now, squares in a chart means that you have to act on something. If you don't, things are going to get real sticky. So, yeah, it is a real complicated week for everyone.
Oh my gosh. Then I guess we better get into the individual reading and see how this coordinates with the next sign up.
Well, hello, Capricorn. See, I can be taught. The planet Saturn is playing an integral part this week. The beginning of the week, we noticed that the planet Venus is in a square with Saturn. Part of the highlighted square, this aspect indicates early lessons around emotional boundaries and trust. This often indicates that the approach to love is with caution, sometimes influenced by past disappointments or fear of rejection. We all have that, don't we? You may prioritize security or due to over emotional expression. With time and healing, you can learn to soften your defenses and open up more. And that'll give you a joyful reciprocal connection. On Tuesday, the 29th, you notice I highlighted a triangle that is called a grand trine. That is part of a kite, we call it. The kite aspect pattern is formed by the grand trine, which is 3 planets, and they're harmonious. It's good energy for you. It's supportive energy. And then there's this opposition, okay? The head of the kite to the tail of the kite. That's a tug of war is what that is. So you've got to be careful there. You've got to find that compromise, okay? At the head of the kite, it's planet Saturn. We're being led towards Saturn in Aries, the planet of responsibility. The tail of the kite is the moon down in Libra, your feelings. That is the planet of feelings. This creates an opposition between Saturn and the moon. So although you may feel like going out and having a good time, Saturn is saying, you got homework to do first. Get in here, do the dishes, help out. You must find the compromise in order to move forward. Notice now on the 31st, I highlighted what we call a T square or a T cross. It is also a component of a kite. We'll go into this more at a later date. Going to the last day of the week, August 3rd, you're going to see the kite we just referred to leading us towards Saturn. So we're supposed to be learning our lessons, but now we see one almost perpendicular. Well, where are we going to go now? This is headed towards Pluto. And then the tail, and Pluto's in Aquarius, and the tail of the kite is Mercury in Leo. Mercury's in retrograde, so is Pluto. Let's just add to the confusion here. We have an opposition between them. All about change. Mercury, the planet of thought and communication, is Mercury in Leo. So we have that opposition. Okay, so you have to find the middle of it. We used to call it the sweet spot, where you can interject and get that tightness, that tension to release. Okay. Now, where was I here? The aspect between Mercury and Pluto reflects a tension between the desire to uncover deep truths, and they need to communicate openly with others. There is a sense of an undercurrent that others miss, and they may find it hard to share their thoughts without feeling vulnerable. At times, you could come across as forceful, overly intense in conversations. With some self-awareness and openness, you can become deeply transformative. a communicator who helps others see things from a more profound perspective. Don, what do you have for them in tarot?
Well, Capricorn, you have a lot on your plate. That's what the astrology is showing, and I wouldn't be surprised if tarot supports that. So with that said, let's get to it. Let's see what the tarot says and if it conforms with that of the astrology for the week. These cards are actually very active, so there's some good energy here. And there you go. There's the jumping active, and they just jump right out. So here we go. Capricorn, the first card out for you this week is the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles. This is going to be going a few different ways, but we'll see what the other cards bring. But this could be a situation where either you should be seeking advice, you should be not being solely dependent upon what you're thinking, but get some other people to give you some ideas. Or this could be the opposite way around. You could be the one who's being sought out for advice this week. Let's see what the next card tells us, and it'll give us some direction. Seven. Oh, it's you. It is you. There's a Seven of Cups, which tells you that you're kind of maybe either overwhelmed or you're just kind of not focused. You got out of focus, okay? And maybe part of it is there's a lot going on, and you're thinking, oh man, I need to take care of this, this, and this, and this, and this. When the Seven card comes out, it's again a focus question. So with that and the three is saying, ask some folks, ask them what it is they're looking, what they have gone, what they did when they were going through this, maybe what they did to help get around some of the little snares or whatever. The one good thing that I would suggest with this card is that when you are looking at that Seven and when you're looking for advice, the one thing to do is just let go of the pride, let go of your ego, and take the information in, because again, all information can be useful. Even if you don't see it's useful in this situation, you'll be glad that you got the information. So again, let go, let God, let some things go, and then just embrace what information that might come your way. The next card out is the Sun card. Look at that. The Sun card saying, if you take on this energy, if you bring on this energy of this enlightenment and get beyond the Seven, which is again that lack of clarity, lack of focus, you're going to be fine. So this is just a momentary situation where it just seems that you needed some direction. Don't be surprised if this is a great opportunity for you to be looking at boundaries and setting boundaries and putting them into place, personal boundaries, again, because that helps you with that feeling of being outside of your comfort zone and maybe taking on too much. Sometimes you got to say no. Sometimes you just got to say no. And if you have boundaries and you say, these are things I'm not willing to take on, then it's easier because there's not confrontation when you say no, because everybody's already agreed to what would be a no or a yes. This also could be very good with time management. So this could be a situation where you took on a lot because you thought you had a lot more time, or you underestimated the amount of time it would take to fix things. Go to an Eisenhower matrix, use an Eisenhower matrix, put the information, the things you have to do in quadrants. The first upper left-hand quadrant is that of the highest priority and highest urgency, most need, most urgency. On the right side, on the top, would be most urgent, less priority. On the bottom, most priority, lowest urgency. And then on the fourth, which is the lower right-hand corner, no priority, no urgency. When you get the no-nos, that means no, bye-bye. Send it to somebody else, or just don't do it, okay? Because it's not priority. The one in the upper left-hand corner, take care of it, priority. It's the most important. Things will shift, by the way, because some things will get a higher priority and the urgency may rise based on how long it takes to get to it. But again, these are the two things that I'm getting from here. Let's try some time management. Let's try some personal boundaries, and we're going to get through this week just fine. And look at the victory card. Again, you put those things in place and you do the work, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to bring an end to all the work. Again, it's a whole lot of work, but the good part is you're bringing closure to that work because you push on through. Again, asking for questions, asking for ideas. And then on the bottom of the deck is just an Eight of Cups. And so this has been a long, ongoing process. This will not be ending this week. So you're going to still have more things and more things. That's why we're talking about time management. That's why we're talking about boundaries. But this will continue on. So know that the work that has to be done is going to be continuous. So take on what you can, leave the rest behind, and don't overwhelm yourself. When you do, you're going to find that life is a little bit easier for the weekend. With that said, Ms. Bonnie, how does this resonate with your astrological reading?
Well, of course, it fits right in. It sounds like Capricorn is really focused in Friday, where there's those two kites, two directions to go, having to make compromises and organize everything and take the stress off. So, it's about priorities here. You've got to work that out, work out those compromises.
Yeah. No matter what we think we are, folks, the one thing we are not is superhuman. And we all do have a limitation. So the good thing is if you accept the fact that we are human and we all have a limitation, and then you can work from that to find ways to incorporate mechanisms to help you with our limitations as just 24 hours in a day, not 48. It'll help you a whole lot for the rest of your life. So this is a good lesson to take with you. So enjoy the moment. Make sure you get the lesson and then incorporate it. And you will be glad that you did. You'll say, you know what? I'm glad this week happened because I needed this. I needed this. How cool is that? With that said, Miss Bonnie, what else do you need from our folks out there watching us?
My needs, my needs, my needs. Well, the first thing you can do is push my buttons down below in the right lower corner is that subscribe button. Push that subscribe button and set that little notification bell to all. That way, whenever I do something, you're going to get a notice. If I post a video, if Dawn posts a video, if Cards and Constellations post a video, or if we go live, you get a little message. So then you would know. Now, if you're on my channel, Your Love Goddess, hop over to Sonoran Mystic Tarot. Do the same thing. Hit subscribe. Set that bell. Then go to our new channel, Cards and Constellations. Please, we're growing this channel just for these videos. And there'll be a day where that's the only place you'll find them. So please hit subscribe, set the bell, and give it a thumbs up. The most important thing you can do to show love is to share the video, because we can resonate with a lot of things that aren't really directed at us. So if you share it out, somebody else might get a message that they needed to hear. And then they might share it, and somebody that they know would get a message. It can help a lot of people if you share it. Mr. Technical, having fun. So that's how you show us our love and at the same time push our buttons.
Super. With that said, we're going to be out of here for the week. We'll be back next week, so watch for us to pop up on your screens. Until then, love, light, and blessings from Miss Bonnie and her family, me and my family, to you and to yours. Until next week. Bye, y'all.